In the moments before Senior Airman Roger Fortson is fatally shot by police, an Okaloosa Sheriff's deputy knocks on his apartment door.
Sheriff's office, open the door!
Identifying himself twice.
Sheriff's
Fortson opens the door with a gun by his side, but not visibly raised, and a split second later, 6 shots are fired, killing the 23-year-old. Officials say the deputy reacted in self-defense after he encountered a 23-year-old man armed with a gun and after the deputy had identified himself as law enforcement.
He shot up. My baby was shot up.
He was shot 6 times.
Officers say they were responding to a disturbance call reported in apartment 1401, which is Fortson's unit.
Are they fighting or something?
Saying that it happens frequently.
A woman seen on camera when a deputy first arrived said she also heard disturbances weeks earlier, but couldn't confirm from where.
Someone yelled like, shut the up, like you stupid B-word and all this other stuff, and I heard a slap.
Fortson's mother, whom we spoke to before body camera was released, says deputies went to the wrong apartment.
Roger was the only person in his apartment. They said they was answering to a disturbance. Was he fighting himself?
She said FaceTiming with his girlfriend when law enforcement arrived.
How this tragedy happened to Roger Fortson, who was an American patriot.
He was a role model.
Okaloosa Sheriff's Office did not respond to questions as many lives
Sheriff's office, open the door!
now changed forever. Tonight, Fortson's attorney, Benjamin Crump, issued a statement right after the body cam release, saying that in a heavily redacted 4.5-minute video, no verbal commands were given to drop the weapon before shooting. Lester?
44 past the hour, we're following the latest out of Florida, Okaloosa County, specifically, where the police department has released new body cam footage showing the moment an officer shot U.S. Air Force Airman Roger Fortson to death. Fortson's family says the officer had gone to the wrong house and shot the wrong man. They're also calling on the county sheriff's office to correct the narrative of the incident, saying Fortson had done nothing wrong. NBC's Sam Brock has more out of Florida. A word of warning: the footage you're about to see may be disturbing for some viewers. When an Okaloosa County deputy pulled into this Florida apartment complex, it took about 3 minutes for him to enter an office.
What's going on? I'm not sure.
And connect with an unidentified woman about an alleged disturbance.
Are they fighting or something?
She eventually took him to the unit 1401, where she believes the fighting originated. That's where relatives say Senior Airman Roger Fortson was alone, FaceTiming with his girlfriend.
Sheriff's office, open the door!
After the deputy identifies himself twice, Fortson opens up the door with a gun visible by his side, but not raised. A split second later, 6 shots are fired, and the 23-year-old's life is over.
At any point, did the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Department say, we went to the wrong apartment?
The Okaloosa Sheriff's Department has not owned up to the fact that they went to the wrong apartment, as if he did something wrong, as if he was committing some crime. He did nothing.
We spoke to Fortson's mother, Mika, and her lawyer, civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump, shortly before the video was released.
There's a lot of doubt in my mind because Roger was the only person in his apartment. They said they was answering to a disturbance. Was he fighting himself?
The family's attorney says Fortson's gun was a legally registered firearm, and the sheriff's department this morning doubling down that they were in the right place.
I told Mr. Fortson's family this afternoon that they have my word. If this shooting is found to be unjustified, their son's name will be fully vindicated and justice will be served.
As the investigation into the senior airman's death deepens, his family says the brother of 5, who was particularly close to his 10-year-old sister, set the standard for how to achieve your dreams.
He wanted everybody happy.
He was a caretaker for you, but he also was trying to show a better path for his family.
He was a role model.
What a tragedy. What a tragedy. Back with us is Phyllis Cote. She is a senior judge and clinical professor of law at Florida International University. Professor, I know that actually one of the courses that you teach is police practices and procedures of the 21st century. Fortson's family says that they're troubled that the deputy doesn't seem to give any verbal commands before the shots. How did you see this? And what is it there that you saw maybe could have been done differently?
I mean, part of the issue is if we're in a society where people can possess guns and legally possess weapons, then police officers in their encounters with them have to think about that and think about what questions do I ask. But the flip side of that, too, is there's a split second to make that decision. And danger is always the concern and in the minds of the officer.
So it is very clear, it seems, that this was wrong house, wrong person, wrong death, wrong victim.
It certainly appears that way. There appears to be nothing here to suggest that this person was the person on whom they called, because there's no one in the apartment, that they illegally or brandish or threaten an officer in any way, but they're just as dead.
Yeah, and Fortson's family, as we just said, is calling on the Sheriff's Department to correct the narrative of the incident. What would that entail? What would that look like?
Well, one of the things is to admit certainly that the call or that their answer to the wrong apartment might have contributed in some way. And I think any sort of suggestion that he did something wrong, I mean, it may be that he did nothing wrong at all, but facts suggest that the officer acted justly in the face of what they thought or assumed. And that certainly may become an issue. But at this point, there's nothing to suggest that her son did anything wrong.
No, I mean, so what would you say to people? Is there anything one can do to protect oneself from what we just saw?
That is why it's just so important. If we are going to have a nation where people possess weapons, we have to know
it is
how
already
to.
a fait
It
accompli.
really is, and we have to responsibly do that. So you can't just assume that a person is unarmed. So you have to be prepared as an officer. But knowing that people can legally possess weapons, what does it mean just to possess a weapon? I mean, we noted here that the weapon is pointed downward, that there are no actions on the part of the individual to lash out or fight. And those are legitimate things that should cause some comfort as opposed to concern.
Phyllis Cody, thank you so very much. Really appreciate your...
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks.
This morning, a family is mourning their son, a U.S. airman who was shot and killed by a deputy in his own apartment. His mother demanding answers. She knows she can never have her son back, but she wants his reputation restored.
So to this sheriff department that took my gift, that had so many accolades inside of him, to err is human and to forgive is divine. I need you guys to tell the truth about my son. I need you to get his reputation right.
Yes.
If you have a heart, if you have a niece, a nephew, any young person in your life, tell the truth about my son.
A deputy fatally shot 23-year-old Airman Roger Fortson last week while investigating a domestic disturbance call. A warning, what you are about to see is really disturbing. This is newly released body camera footage you're going to see in a bit here, showing what happened in the moments leading up to the shooting.
Sheriff's office, open the door. Sheriff's office, open the door.
Step out.
And that is when the gun fires, shooting and eventually killing him. Police say the footage confirms their account of what happened, but acknowledged it came to a very tragic ending.
This result is one we never hope to encounter, and I'm also thinking about our team here and the deputy involved in the tragic event. I've asked the Florida Department of Law Enforcement to handle the criminal investigation that is required under these circumstances.
Fortson's family maintains police went to the wrong apartment. He was on the phone with his girlfriend at the time. Joining us now is CNN senior law enforcement analyst Charles Ramsey. When you look at this video, because you know you have been through these trainings, all your officers have been through these trainings when you were in command, what do you see there that is part of your training and perhaps what is not? Because I noticed, I counted the seconds. It's less than 3 seconds before that gun is fired by the
it's less than 1 second from when he opens the door, you dumb bitch.
Well, first of all, my condolences to the
Dumb
Fortson
bitch.
family.
You know, I've
Less
been
than 1
consultant since I
second.
retired with 21 CP Solutions, and as a result of that, I've viewed hundreds of body-worn camera video regarding use of force, up to including deadly force. And I think one thing is very important, and that is that when you're reviewing these cases, and we know a lot more now after the fact than the officer would have known at the time of the occurrence. And that's what you have to really focus on. What did he know? What did they see? What was the behavior of the individual that they came in contact with? I watched that video. I watched the video several times. In my opinion, the use of deadly force at that moment was not justified. And the reason I say that is because, granted, he was armed. He did have a handgun, clearly. That handgun was pointed downward. It was not pointing up. The officer gave no commands at all to drop the weapon or do anything like that. The shooting was almost instantaneous. And so, under the circumstances, was there a threat? Yeah. But was there an immediate need to use deadly force? In my opinion, and again, there'll be some that'll disagree with me, I would say no. I mean, we know now he was in his own home. We know now he was an airman. We know now he legally owned a firearm. The officer would not have known any of that. You know, so at the time of the shooting, though, the person was armed, but was he a direct threat at that moment? In my opinion, the answer is no.
You mentioned, and we've been looking at just a still frame of the video of him with his gun down, coming to the door. Now, obviously, you can see it there in his right hand, but as you said, it's not pointed at the officer. He is not using it as a threat to the officer at the time. The officer reacting very, very quickly. I do want to ask you about this idea from the family that they had the wrong apartment. Someone did call in saying that there was a disturbance, that they thought they heard somebody being slapped, and they wanted the police to come. How do you get to the bottom of whether or not they got to the right door, and does that matter in an investigation like this?
Well, I mean, first you start with the 911 tape and the caller, and locate that caller and find out exactly what they said, what they identified as the problem, and where that was taking place. But whether that was the right apartment or the wrong apartment, the use of deadly force is a separate issue. Was the officer justified in that particular case in using deadly force? Now, when you look at the video, people see that, you know, he wasn't standing directly in front of the door. Well, that's consistent with training. You don't stand in front of a door or a window if you can avoid doing it. Tactically, that would not be something you would do. If he did look through a peephole, he might not have seen the officer, but he did announce his office. He did say, twice, this is Sheriff's Department. Again, this is a tragic set of circumstances that took place. But at the moment the shot was fired, and again, even though the gun was pointing down, I not only look at that, was there any motion at all that the gun was being brought up where it could have been become a direct and immediate threat? And when you look at the video, there's no upward motion at all. The gun is just simply down. There's no indication that he was going to raise the weapon, and there was no order to drop the weapon or anything like that. And granted, these things happen quickly. I've been in shootings. I know how it goes down. But I've also had situations where could I have shot? Yeah. But did I? No. And the reason is because that instant, that split second, you still had time. And that's what you have to, you're looking at this thing in a matter of seconds or less than a second in terms of what your decision making is going to be.
Yeah, one of the most disturbing parts of this is after he is shot. You never do see, even past the video that we were showing you, because it's so disturbing, him raise that gun, but you do hear that he survived initially after the first shot there and says, look, I'm not holding anything. My gun is not in my hand anymore. So it is, it's really, really hard to watch, and our hearts go out to the family. Charles Ramsey, thank you so much for detailing what officers and how officers are trained in a situation like this. Appreciate you. Okay.
This morning, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin says he is closely monitoring the case of a Georgia airman shot and killed by a Florida deputy. The Okaloosa County Sheriff's Department released body cam video of the deputy shooting Roger Fortston, maintaining they went to the correct apartment, but Fortston's family says the details do not add up.
I need you guys to tell the truth about my son. I need you to get his reputation right.
Yes.
If you have a heart, if you have a niece, a nephew, any young person in your life, tell the truth about my son.
So the family's legal team released their own video from the FaceTime call between Fortson and his girlfriend, which caught the aftermath of the shooting. CNN's Nick Valencia following this story for us. Nick, what are you learning?
John, social justice activists are enraged by this, saying this is yet another example of police putting out a false narrative about what really happened. In fact, yesterday during a press conference, Ben Crump said the initial statement from the Okaloosa Sheriff's Department made it seem as though this incident happened outside and that the deputy fired because he feared for his life. There is a claim, though, that is being disputed that Crump made during that presser, and he said that he believed that the deputies went to the wrong address when they were responding to a disturbance in progress call. We want to warn you that the video that we're about to show you is very graphic.
Sheriff's office, open the door. Sheriff's office, open the door. Sit down.
The victim has been identified as 23-year-old Roger Fortson, and he was a senior airman in the U.S. Air Force. He was actually on a FaceTime call with his girlfriend when that shooting happened. We paused that video before the deputy opened fire. But we do want to show you that FaceTime video from his girlfriend, and in it, you could hear Fortson struggling to breathe. Even still, while he's laying on the ground, the deputy continues to order him and give him commands.
Let me breathe. Do not move. Stop moving. Stop moving. Hang on, man. We got to get this coming for you. Don't move. We're good. You got to go since you open that door.
Now you've seen both those videos for yourself. Listen now to how the sheriff in Okaloosa County described what happened.
What we do know at this time is that the deputy did announce himself, not once, but twice. Mr. Fortson's comments indicate that he did acknowledge it was law enforcement at the door, and he arrived at the door with a firearm in his hand. The deputy knocked on the correct door. He did not cover the peephole or otherwise obscure its view in any way.
Now this shooting happened just a matter of seconds, really. Fortson was idolized by his family. You could see that in the photo here with his little sister. She dressed up like him so they could match here. They were he was just somebody that they looked up to, according to the mother. He was a good man, they say, a patriot. Now, the deputy who fatally shot Fortson, he's been put on paid administrative leave as the Florida Department of Law Enforcement investigates this shooting. John.
All right, a lot of questions here still. Nick, thank you so much.
Howdy, sir.
What's going on? I'm not sure. I just was told to let her know if you guys come by.
Okay.
So I'm going to give her a quick call and let you guys know.
Okay.
Let her know that
So there was a fight going on or something?
I was not present for that.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Are they fighting or something?
He's saying that it happens frequently.
Okay.
But this time it sounded like it was getting out of hand.
Okay, which door?
So I'm not sure. 2 weeks ago, I was walking by their apartment, basically, on this side, and I was hearing someone yell, like, "Shut the f*** up, like, you stupid B word," and all this other stuff, and I heard a slap, right after it, but I wasn't sure where it came from, and I couldn't call, I didn't want to call the police, and,
Which room is it?
1401.
1401, okay.
1401. But the girl sounded scared, the one that called. She said, she was like, it sounds like it's getting really out of hand.
So just hit number 4, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. You do me a favor, we stand out there and direct the other deputy that's coming to this area?
It's you're going to go up to the 4th floor and it's going to be on this side.
Gotcha. Three 12 and 111. Sheriff's office, open the door! Sheriff's office, open the door! Step out. Drop the gun! Drop the gun!
It's over there.
Drop the gun!
I don't have it.
312, shots fired. Suspect down. Do not move! 312, get EMS my location.